Authorities in Japan have recorded more than 400 tremors shaking a remote island chain in the country's southwest. They say seismic activity has been intensifying around Kodakarajima Island in the Tokara group, rattling Kagoshima Prefecture since Saturday morning.
Over almost 500 earthquakes in just a few days since June 21st in a southwestern island chain in Japan. So what is going on? Because we had lots of quakes in higher intensity, magnitude 3 and 4, but also quakes that have reached 5.0 and magnitude 5.1. And now the residents are very, very scared. On the one hand, because the authorities are saying, prepare for a bigger quake. This could be a precursor for a much bigger quake. But guys, there's something else that they're afraid of. Japan fears that viral manga prediction now that we have these hundreds and hundreds of earthquakes that are rattling the Tokara Island. So what is this? So residents are saying, okay, we have almost 500 earthquakes in basically 5 days. Dormant volcano Kyushu has also erupted, which was strange, they think. And then this is renewing public anxiety about the predictions that have been made by a manga artist. Ryo Tatsuki is a self-proclaimed clairvoyant that has foretold the 2011 disaster and has now speculated that another major disaster would strike Japan in early July. So she is writing comic books, and she has written a comic book that is named The Future I Saw, and Tatsuki claims that Japan will witness a massive disaster on July 5th, 2025. Do I believe this? No, I don't, guys, honestly, because you can't predict earthquakes. You can only guess, by looking at the data. Are there people that can predict things? Really, guys, I don't know. I don't want to get into this. I mean, if something happens on July 5th, well, kudos to her, right? So the book that she originally published was published in 1999, and it says that cities will sink into the sea and a mega tsunami stronger than the one in the 2011 Tohoku earthquake will hit the country. So that is definitely possible. I have reported about this. Japan lies on the Pacific Ring of Fire, and we have to basically expect a bigger earthquake, magnitude 9 plus at any day. Scientists are saying that this could happen. It's also a subduction zone there, and it would come again with a devastating tsunami. Worse than the one we saw in 2011, no one can say that. But what it's definitely doing right now, while everything is rumbling and people are certainly feeling it, it's creating fear among the people. Because the Japanese Meteorological Agency has confirmed that we have almost 500 earthquakes recorded in the area in the past 5 days. Sunday and Tuesday had even a magnitude of 5.1, and these were absolutely enough to frighten people because they saw like fans and lamps and anything swinging inside their houses. And the Japanese Meteorological Agency has said, use precaution. The region has seen long periods of earthquake activity in the past. Please be careful. That's what they're saying, because there could be something bigger. But also the officials are saying they have asked people, please shun your fears and your speculations and remain calm. The governor of Miyagi, Yoshihiro Murai, has said there's no official warning that the big one's coming, and he has urged people not to change their plans based upon rumors or a 1999 comic book. Also, seismologists have dismissed the link between the recent activity and that prediction, and they have highlighted that there is no scientific way to predict an earthquake and its magnitude. And the Tokara Islands, it lies between the southern tip of Kyushu and the Okinawa Islands, and that's a seismically active stretch of southwestern Japan. So we do have often small frequent earthquakes. It's nothing new for the region, and this is a bigger one. I have to say, it's more earthquakes. Usually it's in like the 300 earthquake range. Now we're approaching 500. So what exactly is the science behind those quakes? So beneath the sea, the area is marked by seamounts, underwater volcanoes, underwater mountains, and larger ridges known as sea platforms. And as the Philippine plate subducts at a rate about 6 centimeters per year, that's about that much, these formations press into the land plate, and that builds up strain. And this unique seafloor topography, it's on the seafloor, makes the region prone to these earthquakes. So essentially, the ridges or these mounts on the subducted plate lock the upper plate in place, preventing movement. Locked and loaded. This is the problem with most of these subduction zones along the Pacific Ring of Fire. And earthquakes occur when the strain that has built up becomes too much for the landward plate. And then it causes it to rupture and shift sideways. In the case of the Tokara Islands, the bumpy seafloor there is constantly colliding with the land plate. And that causes these frequent quake clusters that we're seeing here. The local scientists in Japan, they have analyzed seismic patterns in the area. Basically since the 2000s, that basically marks the time when quality data were available because technology had emerged. And they have identified two key phases of activity. The first phase lasts about 5 days. That's the range that we're in right now. And then with a rapid increase in quake frequency. And that's often followed by a second phase that lasts about 2 weeks. Oh, that sounds there's could be more to come. And when the number of tremors drops, then the risk of a larger, more powerful earthquake rises. So in fact, 4 years ago, a magnitude 6.1 earthquake struck on day 6 of such an earthquake sequence. And it has reached an intensity of 5 plus on Japan's seismic scale. Their highest one is 7. So don't look at 5 plus like the Richter scale. This is Japanese, this is high. So the scientists are saying that the current situation appears to be the first phase. And though it may not maybe follow the same pattern as before, there's a chance of an earthquake of up to magnitude 6. That's why the residents should be on alert. So is this connected with the Nankai Trough, where we could see an absolute devastating megathrust earthquake and the tsunami and all that comes with this? I have reported about this a lot. The scientists say this swarm of quakes is not a precursor event for anything happening in the Nankai Trough. So this is not a precursor to a Nankai Trough megaquake. I want to make that clear. Whew, that's a good thing. So the scientists say the tectonic mechanisms of the Kagoshima Island tremors are entirely different from those that would trigger a massive quake off Japan's Pacific coast. Right now, getting back to that comic book, since the prediction, Tatsuki has gained immense popularity in Japan. And even you guys are talking about it. I read it in some of my comics. So the comic book, The Future I Saw, has sold over 900,000 copies, including printed editions in Chinese. That's what the book's publisher is saying. So guys, I don't know. We know that Japan is rumbling and has more large earthquakes than, for example, the Cascadia subduction zone in the Pacific Northwest here, that is also due to produce a magnitude 9 plus earthquake. But Japan is being hit, I want to say, on a regular basis with bigger stuff. And the Tokara Islands, it's not a surprise. They're located within the Ryukyu volcanic arc. That's a region that is formed also by a subduction zone, and they're mostly the dangerous ones. So it's a subduction of the Philippine Sea plate underneath the Eurasian plate. And of course, that kind of subduction process leads to magma generation and volcanic activity. So where we have these earthquakes, we also see the volcanoes along the Pacific Ring of Fire, where the world's most earthquakes are happening and the most volcanic eruptions are happening. We see the volcanoes dotted around that ring of fire. And the Tokara Islands, they're marking a segment of the volcanic front along this arc, the Ryukyu volcanic arc. That's why these islands are volcanoes in the most cases. They're primarily volcanoes, and some have erupted in historical times. The Ryukyu arc itself is really characterized by a chain of active volcanoes, so also that is not a surprise. And whenever we have this subduction process where one plate is diving deep into the mantle, this process causes the submerging plate to melt. And that generates magma that rises to the surface. And that then results in volcanic eruptions. So the Tokara Islands are composed of quaternary volcanoes, and that indicates that we have a relatively recent volcanic activity when it comes to Earth time. So the Ryukyu arc transitions from a continental margin setting in the north to an island arc setting further south. And the Tokara Islands basically mark this transition. And guys, in addition to the visible islands, we also have submarine volcanoes in this area. And they haven't been discovered for a very long time. They're basically newly discovered. They are shallow submarine volcanoes near the Tokara Islands. The earthquakes that we're seeing right now also, most of them have quite a shallow depth, between 6 and 12 miles. That's why the shaking also was widely felt. For example, across Toshima village and the nearby islands. No major damage has been reported so far. I will keep you updated should anything else happen there. Thank you guys. If you want to support the channel, buy me a coffee. Check the link in the description or click the join button to become a channel member for behind the scenes stuff. I hope you're all doing great. See you soon. Bye-bye.